Benefit District meeting. My name is Maria Irshad. Thank you all for joining us today. Today, our agenda is, Sharon has just joined us. Thank you, Sharon.
So sorry, I was trying to do another way, but it didn't work.
No problem. Thank you for joining us. So on the call today, I have 4 committee members. I have the Vice Chair, Mark Fairchild, I have Sharon Stewart, I have David Chin, and I have Janice Jucker on the call. And then we have the Park Houston staff, Norman Holt, Kelly Frazier, Paul Dugas, Kivia Stroder, and Rami Arafat. First, I'm going to give you guys an update on the WOW Roundabout, the signs over there. We'll go through the metered parking updates, the financials, what kind of compliance efforts were going on in the area. We'll take public comments if there are any. Kelly, has anyone signed up for public comments?
No.
Okay, thank you. And then we'll have an open forum. So let's go ahead and get to the first item, the WOW Roundabout. So as you all know, this procurement was approved by City Council. These are for the 2 signs, the Crestwood and the Woodcrest sign. So it was approved by City Council on February 7th. And per the purchase order, they have 90 days to complete the work. So that completion date is May 12th. So what they are telling us most recently is they are expecting to have the signs installed by 4/25, so April 25th, allowing for the signs to cure and the capstones to be replaced. And we are expecting a completion date of May 1st. The challenge with getting the signs is, we have been real sticklers about making sure they are following the format of the 2 other signs that are already in place. We don't want the font to be different. We don't want the placement to be different. We don't want the stone to look different. We don't want anything to look different. So they have, they're working to send us the actual drawing of the sign. It's in a queue with the designer who's going to, we've identified the font, and we believe it's making good progress. It's just unfortunate there's a queue of work in front of us that will get, it's just first come, first served for however this vendor works. So we estimate a completion date of May 1st. We'll keep you posted if anything happens, but we believe they will complete everything within the 90 days. Do y'all have any questions on this? I know it looks like nothing's being done there, but there's a lot of work in the background being done. So. All right, next slide is the financial update. So in March, our meter revenue went back up a little bit. So you see we did almost $23,000 in meter revenues. There's about 4,300 transactions, and the average transaction bumped up just a few pennies. So it went from $5.27 on the average transaction to $5.31. And you can see the expired meter citations was 522. So we did have a significant increase compared to the prior months where we were averaging, around 300 generally. But we, saw a big gain in the meter citations. Any questions on this slide before I proceed?
Just one real quick question. What do you think the clearance rate is on the expired meter citations?
So generally, overall, we look at all the citations we issue for the year, and generally it's about 65%. And then the rest get paid.
So 65% get paid and 35% are outstanding.
Right. Okay. And then if they develop, accrue more citations, they get placed on the boot list. We also send citations to collection agencies, but really, the only tool of the collection agency is notices and phone calls. We did just start a new process with our collection vendor where we are now going to be texting and emailing regarding expired, any kind of delinquent parking tickets. So we just started this in March, so not sure what kind of results we're going to see, but maybe that will help. But overall, we have generally always seen about a 65% clearance rate on citations for as long as I've been in parking. That's kind of been the standard.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. What are the hours of the meters? Do they go to 2 a.m. or, because I know the city was talking about going to 2 a.m., but I felt like on Washington Avenue, it already is like that.
Correct. Washington goes until 2 a.m. The city did have a proposal last week to extend meters citywide until 2 a.m. That will be on agenda. Again, it was tagged last week, so it'll be on agenda this week. My understanding is that this will be referred back to the administration or to a committee for review. So I don't believe we're going to see that happening citywide anytime
Okay.
soon.
We're
but
already there, so
we are already there. We're already there. That was part of the parking benefit district. The hours were written into the actual code for it.
thank you.
Yes. All right, our next slide. So we've outlined the 2024 column. Again, just a reminder, the fiscal year runs from July to June. So this current fiscal year, FY24, will end June 30th. And we are estimating, let's see if I can circle this here, $107,000 that will be shared to the parking benefit district bank account. So total is almost $179,000 before the split. So this is what the model is projecting for this fiscal year. And we have April, May, June, 3 more months, 1 quarter left. Do I have any questions over here? For parking compliance, in FY24, you see that our average is at about 339 parking citations per month. This was a little bit of a drop from FY23, and a large portion of that can be attributed to the relaxed enforcement for RPP. But that has since changed. So hopefully in the next few months, we'll see our numbers go back up, where we will be more mindful of our enforcement. So FY24 meter transactions, a little bit of a dip from FY23, but we've only really got 1 month of, January and February, pretty slow months for meters. So we see 3,700 meter transactions on average per month compared to FY23, which was 4,200. On the RPP tows, again, the numbers for 24, January through March, we had about 54 tows, and April through June, we have, that's not correct.
That's not right.
Yeah, the March number probably needs to be back up here. Let me correct that, and we'll send that back out to you. I'm sorry, I missed that one during my review. But the tows will be significantly lower for FY24, simply based on the virtual permit fact. One thing, Mark, I did want to mention, and maybe if y'all could put this in the Rice Military newsletter, is we are finding customers are not linking the permit to the plate. So they buy the permit and you're supposed to link it to the plate. They don't link it to the plate. So this shows up as an illegally parked vehicle for us. We've been lucky because we've been so cautious and kind of taking a very slow approach that we've been able to mitigate the challenges. But, once we really get serious about towing, and we are at that point, I am concerned that we may be pulling visitors or neighbors that have permits, but they fail to link it. So I can write something up and send it to you if y'all would share that in your newsletter. Is that?
Yeah, please do. Please do.
Okay, we'll get that to you before the end of the week. That's just something that we're seeing. Other than that, we haven't been seeing too many challenges with the virtual permits. We did, Kivia Stroder, our division manager of compliance, is on the line. She met with the Constable 1 office, was it last week or the week before? And they are also starting to tow as well. So we should see some more activity there. Okay, so let's just go to the next slide if I have no questions. This is the PBD project list. So these are all the projects since the inception. You can see we have allocated $127,000 for projects. This number, the 26,000, is not correct. So I need to fix that. That's not the total that expenditures that we spent. We spent more than that. So let me correct that and send that back out to you guys. I apologize. But we haven't had any new projects. The projects that we've been paying this fiscal year includes the Flock camera licensing. We paid a little bit for the Washington Walk audit. That we allocated $2,500. We only spent some money on the tablets, which will be coming back to us. So this balance will go back into the PBD fund since we're not going to be exhausting it for that walk audit. For the Washington roundabout, we have allocated, I think it was 10,000. Yes, 10,000. We've only spent a small portion of it. You could see that we have electric costs that are coming in every month. We started looking into the irrigation and on the circle. I talked to Sherry Wiesner, and they are going to be remediating all the irrigation over there. So it's not going to be something that we need to fund. They will be taking care of it. And she said, and I think you've also mentioned this, Mark, is that Greystar will be taking over maintenance of the circle once they get that work done. So I don't think there's anything for us to coordinate as far as the circle goes, but there may be something regarding the signs, and we could talk about, I mean, the lighting sculptures, which we can talk about in a minute.
Well, so what it sounds like Sherry is saying is she's going to install her own sprinkler system, and disassociate it with the one that also exists around the traffic circle, not within the traffic circle. So if there's anything that we ever wanted to do to try to bring landscaping back to life around the traffic circle, we would need that irrigation looked at. But it sounds like she's going to divorce herself of that whole system that's out there that also feeds the center.
So I wasn't clear if is that what she's told you? Because I wasn't clear on whether or not.
No.
Okay.
I don't know how she's going to do her irrigation, but what I'm hearing you say is that she's going to set up her own.
That's what I need to
set up her own, or have Ashakara Robinson resurrect what's already out there and just, utilize the zones that she needs. I don't know, but
yeah. And I was going to get further clarity from her, because if we wanted to have irrigation on the corners, then we could partner with her to get that done and fund that portion of it. So I need to get more clarity on her and ask her if that's possible for us to do.
Okay, and my wife can reach out to her too. She speaks to her regularly as well, and I might just put a bug in her ear and ask her if she can clarify it. Okay,
perfect. The Washington Monument signs, we've allocated 35,000. We have not received any invoices as yet, but their bid was for 13. So once that gets done, the whatever's been allocated will be put back in the fund balance. So we'll correct this and send this back to you, because the total of our expenditures is not accurate at the bottom.
So one other thing on expenditures, have we spent any money this year on HPD overtime? I know that was a discussion there, but it sounded like Abby Kamen's money came in. I mean, what is that kind of what happened? I mean, I think we said, yes, we're willing to spend the balance of that $50,000, but then it sounded like Abby's money came through.
That's correct. Okay. Councilmember Kamen's money came through. HPD did ask for allocation for Cinco de Mayo. So for the 4th and the 5th, that'll be approximately $8,000. And so I was going to run that by y'all today. I mean, it's already been approved for spending. I just want to make sure everyone's okay with the date, and I will give them the thumbs up unless I hear any concerns from you guys.
Yeah, I think that's a Saturday and a Sunday, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so. I can check.
You're just going to run that around in an email?
It is. It's a Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah. Great. I was hoping that we could have a discussion about it today but I guess we don't have everyone on the call. I'll send an email and ask for anyone's concerns. If you have concerns, let me know. Otherwise, if I don't hear back by maybe Friday, if I send the email out today and ask for.
Yeah, I would encourage you to do it. I mean, we could certainly take a vote on it today, but I know Keith, who's not on this call, has has some concerns around what HPD is actually giving us for the money that we're spending. So I want to make sure that his comments are captured.
I will send that email out today.
Thank you.
That was the call last time. Yes, I'm sorry.
For St. Patrick's Day, didn't we up the HPD thing? And how did that work?
So HPD on St. Patrick's Day, ended up using other funding. They did not use the PBD funding. We did say it was okay to, but somehow they got funding from elsewhere, so they were there. I'm not sure what the results were of that. I can ask Sergeant Graham for information and get that back to y'all.
Well, I can say that for someone who lives around here and understands what it is they're trying to do with that overtime, with those overtime dollars, I spent some time along Washington Avenue about 1 o'clock in the morning, and I generally thought it was somewhat effective.
Okay.
I thought the impact of St. Patrick's Day was somewhat muted, but I think that's as a result of a number of different factors. But they were out there, with a show of I don't want to say force, but they were out there.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, so we have not really spent any of that HPD allocation this fiscal year. They were able to use other sources. So, okay. Any more questions or comments on the budget and project list? And again, I will send out a corrected one. All right, I'm going to go to the next slide, which is our open forum. So one thing that I did want to, before I open the forum, I wanted to ask about the conversations with Commissioner Briones, and are we looking at, I know, Mark, you had a question about permits for the existing lights, and I think I provided you an answer. I wanted to make sure that we were clear on that, or if you had any questions. And is there any potential of the Commissioner's office perhaps funding a third sculpture, or are we looking at partnering?
I don't know the answer to that yet. I know that I can't think of the woman's name. Had submitted. I mean, I guess they've got an architectural committee or an arts committee or whatever,
Okay.
Projects committee. That was going to be one of the things that they submitted to that committee to have a discussion about. I was with her a couple of weeks ago. I didn't hear anything back from her.
Okay.
So I think it's something still out there that is, it is certainly before Precinct 4. Whether they're going to be able to do anything about it or not, I don't know.
Okay.
But it's
All right.
it's still on the table.
Okay. And the conversation I had with Public Works is there are no encroachment permits, but should a third one move forward, they would find a way to include the existing sculptures in the new encroachment permit, which would be required. I'm not sure how it happened last time.
Okay, and so what I also sent them was the original proposal that Tim Glover sent us for the cost, because they were wondering what the cost of it was. Personally, I think his proposal is inflated, but it is what it is, and so I forwarded that to them so they had something to basically be able to point to in terms of what it would cost to install that sculpture. And I don't know, have I communicated to them that there is no encroachment permit? I know I had asked you because that was a question that was asked of me.
Right.
Have you communicated to them, or do I need to turn around and get back to?
I'll double check on the email, Mark. I think they may have been copied on that email that I responded to.
Okay.
When it was proposed to the Precinct 4 office, was there any discussion about like the PBD funding a portion of it, or is that something that I need to be mindful of moving forward, or are we not even close to anything yet?
I don't think we're close to anything yet with Precinct 4.
Okay.
If that you broke up on the first part of the question, but I don't think we're close. I mean, like I said, the last two things they had asked me for was a proposal for the cost of the project, as well as an understanding whether there were encroachment permits that were utilized when they installed the first two lighting structures. And I think your answer is no, there wasn't. But if there's a third one that is installed, there will have to be one, and then those two other ones will get thrown into that permit.
Correct. Yep. Okay.
So they're kind of grandfathered right now if we don't do anything, but if we do something going forward, we got to do something different. Okay.
Correct. Yeah, I'll check the email. I believe Precinct 4 was copied on that email, but I can't recall now. But okay, that was my one question on that. With that, we have an open forum. So if there's any questions or comments or thoughts, ideas, the floor is open.
Can I raise my hand?
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
So at the last SN22 meeting, Officer Vieira was there, and I asked her, because I've been pushing back on this for now over a year, about how to get stats out of these license plate reader cameras that give us an understanding of the actionable evidence or actionable items that are being kicked off to HPD.
Yeah.
And what, if any, resolution they're able to bring to some of these items. Now, I understand, it's a complicated problem.
Yeah.
But, we're giving them $30,000 or $25,000 a year, and we're not getting anything back. And I'm going to just read to you what I get back. I get back there. When Lucy asks Sergeant Dorton if there were any stats that they could give me, he says there are not, as there are thousands of cameras contributing to all aspects of investigations and assisting hundreds of agencies in the region. No way to track it. I don't believe that. Okay. And so my wife actually had an opportunity, and there's two reasons. My wife had an opportunity a couple of weeks ago to meet the mayor of Bunker Hill. And Bunker Hill has license plate reader cameras. And the mayor of Bunker Hill told my wife, what I'm getting back from HPD is BS. He said, have Mark come over. I'll sit down with him. I'll show him what our LPR cameras can do, the information that they can kick off individually by each camera, and what he can then turn around, go back and ask HPD to give them. Yeah. Okay. The second thing is, I've talked to our constable deputies. Our nighttime deputy gets texts all the time about what's happening off of these license plate reader cameras. So I know they're getting information, but we're not getting anything back except platitudes that, hey, it helps us solve crime. Well, I don't think that's an equitable partnership here. We're giving them money, and I expect them to give us some visibility into how it's helping them assist with crime. And I'm going to go a step further. I'm going to say one of the reasons that I think we originally discussed putting these cameras in is because it would give us objectionable data about the quality of the people that are driving along Washington Avenue on the weekends, because we can all go out and walk the street and say, hey, we got some questionable characters over here, but that's subjective in nature. So we put these cameras, one of the reasons we put them on Washington was so we understood how many people were coming through this area and how many people were wanted. And now they're telling us they can't tell us what it is that they're getting, and I'm calling BS on that. Yeah. So, that was part and parcel of the reason we put these out there, so we could turn around and go back to HPD and say, hey guys, we have a problem. And it's not just me talking about walking along Washington Avenue at 1:15 in the morning and telling you what I see. These cameras are objective. They don't know. So I'm, this whole thing from Sergeant Dorton is BS. Yeah. He's taking our $25,000 and saying thanks. And I'm saying, and this is where you're going to get pushback from Keith. This is not a good win-win relationship here. And I'm not asking for who they found, because my concern here is with all the other stuff that's going on with HPD, okay? They're getting it because there's a more holistic question here. They installed hundreds of these things across the city, approved a $6 million contract with Flock. And the real bigger question here is from a citywide perspective, what type of information are they getting off of these LPRs and what are they doing with it? And my sense is, given everything else that's going on and the fact that they got 260 some odd thousand cases that have got stuck on the back burner, that the answer is going to be, well, we get a lot of information, but we don't really have a lot of manpower to chase it down. And I think that's why you're getting the pushback that we're getting. And if that's the case, that's fine, but at least own it. And then let's make a decision as a city moving forward as to whether we continue to fund these things, because if we're just spending money and not doing anything with the information it's giving us, we're just wasting there's a better, higher use of our resources.
Mark,
So I just don't like the fact that the mayor of Bunker Hill is like, come sit down with me. I'll show you exactly what we can do. They have
Yeah.
drones on their
Mark.
cameras.
I live in the villages, so can I say something?
Sure.
They're very effective. The reports that we get will tell us, like, we just recovered our $1 millionth car, because they see stolen cars from it.
Right.
They have a smaller crew, and they have a lot less to do than the city of Houston. But it's also helpful, like, let's say city of Houston's doing a chase, and then they can say to them, okay, this person's now in the villages, and then they can see, if the car pulled over and the person jumped out, and then we have a drone that goes around and hopefully finds the person. And so it does help with crime. I don't know. The only stats I would think that they could give you is like ours does, how many cars have they recovered, and how it's helped with finding people that are on the run. And so I don't understand there aren't a lot of stats. It's about the results. And it's especially real-time results. And for the violent offenders, things of that nature, maybe someone picked up a young girl and put her in her, threw her in their car and ran with her, and they can have eyes on these using these cameras to see where they're going. And so, my question to you is, what is the thing that you're looking for? Because they are effective.
No, I know they are, and like I said, our constable deputy tells me he gets texts all the time. I'm looking for something along the nature of what you just said. Hey, over the course of the last quarter, we got texts about 5 stolen vehicles, 50 stolen vehicles that drove down Washington Avenue that kicked off a text that said, there's somebody in the area that we're looking for that car. Or we were able to then turn that into, hey, we were able to recover the property, get the property back to the owner. I'm not looking for who's committing the crime. I'm just looking for the fact that, I know texts are being sent off because I talked to somebody outside of HPD.
Well,
and
really,
I'm just trying to
want to see it. You just want to get like a quarterly report.
Yeah.
I want to know that, hey, because like I said, one of the reasons we installed them is because I know there's questionable activity along Washington Avenue on the weekends. And it was an attempt to basically say, don't take my word for it. Take the statistics from the cameras. And that's all I want to be able to say is that the statistics from the cameras indicate that, hey, there's people on Washington Avenue on the weekends that HPD or DPS is looking for. Whether they're doing anything about it is a completely separate issue.
Maria, is there someone you could ask for those stats?
We've been asking, Sergeant Dorton and HPD with some of the command staff, they hold meetings. They haven't had one in a while. And at the last meeting, I was there. This was before, what's his name? John Breeding with Uptown was there as well. And everyone was saying the same thing you're saying, Mark, is give us something. We need some data to understand. Let me follow up and let me just kind of escalate it. I think a good starting point might be to see what the mayor of Bunker Hill, if he gets a report, or is he looking in the system, if we could get an idea of what he's seeing, and we could say, take it to HPD and say, this is what other cities are seeing. Can we get this kind of same information? At least we have
They probably do, because even the residents, we don't get this detailed report, but our chief of police tells us, he gets so excited about everything he's done. So he puts it in his weekly newsletter to us. Okay. And maybe Abby Kamen could help.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Janice, I think that's great. And that's all we're asking.
Right.
I want the rah that says, hey, this is actually helping us do something. And here's what it's allowed us to do. And the fact that they're not willing to come forth with hey, and this is what it's allowed us to do, makes me skeptical that they're doing anything with the information that they're getting from them, because it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So we don't have access to the Flock system either. I think another point, and I haven't reached out to the Flock representative. Maybe, I mean, that might be another good starting point. I didn't think to reach out to them, but they may be able to tell me something offline. So let me talk there, and if we could get whatever report the Mayor of Bunker Hill is looking at, that might be a good jumping off point. But you know, I hear you. I understand. I wish I had more control over it. Unfortunately, it's kind of not in our hands.
And I'm not trying to blame you. I'm just
Yeah, no, I know.
upset. I mean, we've been asking this question for over a year since we originally paid for these cameras.
Right.
And we get, hey, they help us, but we can't do anything about it. And I just think that's the wrong answer. They're not going to tell city council that. They're not going to sit in front of city council and say, hey, thanks for the $6 million contract. We get some good information, but we really can't tell you what we do with it. I mean, that's just an unacceptable answer.
Maria, for the police, it would be great PR for them
Mm-hmm.
to talk about the great results from these cameras. And that's really what we get in our newsletter from the chief of police. And so we know it's worth it.
Yeah.
And it's good. And we feel safer because they're on top of it.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you. Okay, we'll go back to ask again, escalate it a little bit and see what I can get back for you guys. It doesn't hurt to shoot Councilmember Kamen an email as well. There are other council members.
Because here's what I'm going to do. If I get another pushback like that, I'm going to go to city council and say, hey, you know, here's what I'm trying to do as the parking benefit district.
Okay.
But the bigger question for council needs to be, you know, what are you getting for the money that you're spending?
Yeah. I agree. I
mean, they push back on the shot spotter expense, you know. So anyway, just I think the answer is the wrong answer.
I hear you. Do I have any other concerns or comments?
That was my soapbox.
Okay, that's a good one. It's valid. Okay, well, with that, I will ask for a motion to adjourn today's parking benefit district meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you all for joining the call today. I will send out a couple of updates and I've got some action items to follow up on, so I will be in touch. Otherwise, we will see you next month. Same place, same time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a wonderful day.
All right.
Bye-bye.